This is Boston Red on the 9th of October 2014. On the 7th of October, a debate was held in West Virginia between Natalie Tennant and Shelley Moore Capito. Natalie Tennant is the Secretary of State there in West Virginia. She's in her mid-40s. Moore Capito is in the House of Representatives. She's the daughter of Arch Moore, legendary governor there in West Virginia. It was a back and forth there where Capito tried to tie Secretary Tennant to Barack Obama and his administration. It didn't work out. Natalie continued to talk about back on the farm. She is a farm woman. She grew up on a farm, she said, with 9 brothers and sisters, and they shared a bathroom. So, where at the same time, the Moore Capito was in the governor's mansion in the state capital, Charlotte. Thus, there is a drastic difference in the experiences of the two people. Natalie Tennant grew up on a farm, therefore she was exposed to guns, not to be redundant here, and she shot a musket as the Mountaineer mascot. That was her claim to fame. She was a TV reporter and then went into an independent production company with her husband. And he also served in the Iraq War / Afghanistan War, so she knows about wars firsthand. The debate was a pretty calm debate, if you want to call it that. A fellow named Hoppy, that's an interesting name to have. But he was in the middle of the two. They sat at a table for about 59 minutes. There were no introductory or closing statements, and you will hear it in its entirety. You will also hear from a Libertarian candidate, just a very brief about a minute from him, John Buckley. He was left out of this debate, but he's hoping to get into other debates there, and it has to be worked out. We've heard him before in West Virginia debates, and he presents the libertarian position, and no doubt Shelley Moore Capito would like to keep him out of debates. And there's also some minor parties, the Constitutional Party and one called the Mountain Party, which is generic to West Virginia. They pick up a few hundred votes each. But the Libertarians normally do a little bit better, so thus that is not as good a news. In the polls, we see it's double-digit and have seen that for some time, depending on which poll you look at. Natalie Tennant is behind anywhere from 17 to about 12 or 14. Let me just take a look at that to make sure we get that from Real Clear Channel, Clear Politics. I'm sorry. There is a layout of where these people stand in the state of West Virginia, which is on the second page here, because it's not, as they say, one of the big hopping contests here. Let me see, maybe the third page of this. Wait a minute, we have to go back here, and we'll see where West Virginia is one of those states. Not a lot of polling has been in it because it's not one of the states that is looked at as they say, as quote-unquote being in play. West Virginia is one of the states that was most hostile to President Obama and remains very hostile to him as far as his presidency. It's the most racist state out there, and there's no doubt Capito is playing to that tune. She's obviously not a fool. Here they've moved some of these contests around. They have 46 Democrats, 45 Republicans, 9 as toss-ups. And we go to West Virginia. That's an open one. That is Jay Rockefeller there, long-serving senator in the state of West Virginia. And we'll see if we can get to it and look at it in terms of where it is. Now, the average here is 17. The CBS New York Times poll, which is not a very good poll, but it's the latest one. It was conducted up to the 1st of October, has Capito up by 23. Rasmussen had her up by 17. The same. And you can see the variation there. It's basically twice as many votes for Capito in the CBS poll, New York Times poll, as into the other poll, and then there's a West Virginia poll that was back in August up to the 23rd at 17. So no doubt she is behind. This is Natalie Tennant. She's probably not had a lot of money to spend there. And we looking at the race a little bit here. It is a red state, no doubt about it. Natalie Tennant has the endorsement of United Mine Workers Union and the Teachers Union, etc. And across the line, she favors the Affordable Care Act, which there are many West Virginians that are getting Medicaid onto it, and about 20,000 that are in the exchange there in West Virginia. So it is a little different landfill there. Capito claims she supports the minimum wage and voted for it, but she doesn't want to go with $10.10 because she represents the business interests. As far as coal is concerned, it's an interesting political situation there from both parties. The shale oil situation in the Dakotas, in Ohio and Pennsylvania, called fracking, has put a damper on coal because it has become the number one, as one would say, petroleum product. And it is riding the rails quite literally, and it's getting to a point it'll be liquefied and shipped off to Europe and China. And China is also cutting down on coal. Coal is dirty, no doubt about it. Natalie Tennant is talking about quote-unquote clean coal. Yes, you can have clean coal, but will they invest the money as long as they can get this shale oil out of the rocks? The answer to that is no. So unfortunately for the people of West Virginia, it's a political move that has been made, and they have, as one would say, been pushed onto the bus. The president of Mine Workers Union was talking about that. Will coal still exist? Yes. Now, President Obama is an interesting situation. They used to try to tie President Obama to various things, but a lot of people forget that there is mining in the state of Illinois. So President Obama started out as coal. That's an interesting kind of situation there. His money came from the coal lobby to finance his Senate campaign. So thus, it's very close there in terms of where that campaign is. And what we attempt to do here is, in our technical presentations, we'll call this a technical presentation, because we're presenting the debate and the issues in the state of West Virginia for your obvious perusal. Now, this will be the full version, and we'll have an edited version on our Blog Talk program, which will air also today on the 9th, and we'll talk about Ebola, what it is not, the treatment of Mr. Duncan, who is now deceased there, and how he was treated. Jesse Jackson made comments on that issue. But let's first look at a little bit of the polling here, and what we're using here is more of a Charlie Cook method at this point in time. Now, CBS, their generic ballot that came out on Wednesday, had the Republicans up by 6. They're the only one to do this. And also out in Kansas, they have Roberts by 1. And the Fox News program, which is Pace, it's put out by Rasmussen, has Roberts up by 5. But again, this is a tainted poll. They also have Garner up by, in Colorado, by 6. Hagan by 2. This is from the Suffolk poll. And Rasmussen also by 2. That is in the state of North Carolina. She's been consistently ahead. And Sullivan out in Alaska has dropped to 4. This is according to the Fox News poll. And McConnell is at 4 in the state of Kentucky. This is all Fox News stuff. Cotton is at 7 in Arkansas, 49 to 39 in Arkansas. He has been consistently ahead of prior, but it turns out in Arkansas to a turnout election. Let's see what else we have. Gina Sheehan in New Hampshire is up by 6 in the WMUR poll. And New England poll, she's up by 3. And let's skip down into Kansas governor's poll. The CNN has it tied between Davis 49 and Brown back. In the another poll here, Fox News has Brown back up by 6. You kind of see where some of this polling is going. In Florida, Survey USA has Tolly the Tuna Chris up by 2. That's in the margin of error over Scott. That's another turnout election down in Florida. Fox News has Purcell up over Jimmy Carter's grandson there in the state of Florida. Another turnout election there. And our own Martha Coadley's up by 2 over Charlie Baker, 41-39. That's a WBUR poll there also. And in Arkansas, Hutchinson is up by 9 over Mike Ross. That's a Fox News poll. And Rounds is up by 3. Get very close there over Wetland. And of course, you have, this is kind of interesting, you have Larry Pressler, who had been a senator from South Dakota running as an independent there. He's at 32%. Rounds is at 35%. And Wetland is at 29%. He's a Democrat in that race. So it's kind of interesting there within itself. We have Markley there up by 26 over her. That's in the Commonwealth. Out in California 52. DeMarlo is up by 3 over Peters. I'm not sure even why we gave that. Sherry Porter is up by 3. That's in New Hampshire 1st district there. New Hampshire 2nd is Castor, is up by 12. She's run before in that particular district. That is New Hampshire 2nd district there. CBS has a president at 42. Gallup at 44 and Rasmussen at 46. So he's coming up a little bit on his approval ratings there. Healthcare law, this is Gallup, 41% approve of it, 53% don't approve. It's moved up a little bit. And direction of the country, well, wrong, right track, about 29, 63. We've talked about that before. Congressional approval rating, is at 15. It doesn't really matter. Most of Congress will literally be reelected. So that's kind of a survey of where the polling is in the coming few weeks. We'll get out to some of these states, to Wisconsin. We'll also get to Texas, hopefully. And we'll get to North Carolina and visit them on the ground, however brief it is. And as they say, touch the air, see how things are there. Now, unfortunately, in West Virginia, Natalie Tennant's being outspent. How much of a turnout campaign she can get, it will be very interesting. She will do well in the urban areas in West Virginia, which are not a lot, Charlottesville, the college towns there, and some of the other more populated areas. But what she's doing in this debate was taking Capito on a class basis and speaking to rural people. She constantly referred to down on the farm. And she comes from down on the farm. If she can start to chip in there, and that's where Capito has been working. Most of these states, West Virginia, Texas, the Republican Party presides in the rural areas. That's the party of Pat Buchanan. And it addresses the fears there. Remember, President Obama was caught by this turncoat from, I haven't heard of her anymore, from Tennessee, that he was talking about people in these poverty-stricken Appalachia. He was talking about clinging to guns and religion. Well, part of that is that they cling there because that is all they got. You know, LBJ was the last person that spent any time going to Appalachia when he had his war on poverty. The Republicans opposed it in that day, but they oppose it now in a furious way, the war on poverty. So the people, I've done polling in West Virginia before, and I remember talking to a fellow down there, and they basically said, we're going to vote for the end. And we looked at it, the data set, they did. That was in the 2008 election. Of course, they were able to get extension and more liberal rules for their food sufficiency food stamps. And now they have Medicare. But this time around in 2020.